All right, well, it's 12 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and start. Just want to make sure that we let everybody in here. Make sure I am not muted too. Perfect. Everybody hear me okay? Perfect, great. Well, thank you and welcome to the legal table. I am your host, Crystal Jamerson, and I'm the Community Engagement and Outreach Coordinator for Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota. The legal table was created to educate you on your rights and responsibilities, along with introduce you to community organizations that have resources to help you along the way. Today, we are here to address the unmarried parenting rights in Minnesota. As we know, every child deserves love, they deserve attention, understanding, even if both parents are not in the same household. So today we're here to discuss the rights of the unmarried parents have and the resources in the community to assist with the best interest of the child and support for the family. As you know, Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota is trying to make sure that people in the counties that we serve are aware of the process and the resources available for its community members. Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota, we serve 22 counties, and we have 3 offices in the area where we assist clients in navigating the justice system. Sorry, I can't even talk today. And provide services for low-income individuals in the areas with their civil legal needs. We hope to bring you more information on many civil legal topics throughout the year. So make sure you continue to join us and pass the information along to coworkers and clients. With that being said, I want to introduce you all to my special guest today. We have Karen Novak. She is the LSNM staff attorney. We have Chelsea Hammond from Rainbow Bridge, Amber Holstrom, and Mary Stockford from West Central Community Action. And just a few housekeeping rules really quick. Please make sure to put all your questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. Also, this is a quick hour-long meeting, so if you'd like more information, each panelist will have their information listed at the end of the meeting. This meeting will also be available on the YouTube channel by the end of the week. So if you have any coworkers that were not able to make it, please make sure to check out either our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Twitter, LinkedIn. They will all have a link to our YouTube channel so that you're able to view any our meeting and then any of our previous meetings before too, so that you can share those as well. So without further ado, we are going to turn the mic over to Karen from LSNM.
Thank you, Crystal. And okay, will I be able to share now?
Yes, you should be.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so like Crystal said, she had asked me to talk about the rights of unmarried parents, which does differ in Minnesota from the rights of parents when the child is born during the marriage. Starting off, when a child is born out of wedlock, to use an old-fashioned term, the biological mother has sole legal and sole physical custody of the child until the father establishes his paternity and then can seek custody and parenting time. So prior to that being established, mom has full say in what happens with child, what parenting time looks like, and all of those decisions for the child. Paternity can be established in a couple of different ways in Minnesota. First, by signing a recognition of parentage. That's what places the father on the birth certificate, or by bringing a court action to establish paternity. When a rope is signed, which is typically done at a hospital, but can be done at other times, it has to be signed by both parents in front of a notary. And the effect is that it makes the dad the father. It adjudicates him. It does not give the father any custodial rights over the child, no parenting time rights. It just means that he is dad. This form, like I said, it's typically signed at the hospital, but it's also available on the DHS website in multiple languages. To do it through a court proceeding, that can be brought by several different people. The father that wants to be adjudicated can bring the action. The county can bring the action, a personal representative of the child or one of the parents can bring it, the mother can bring it. And the child, if someone on behalf of the child could even bring it, a guardian ad litem could. It's typically done in the county where the child resides, and it can be joined with a divorce. It can be joined with an annulment action, legal separation, custody, and most often I would say with child support cases. For establishing paternity only, those cases, the parents do have the right to court-appointed counsel if they qualify through that process based on their income. Once paternity is established, that right goes away, and that's often when our office will come in. You know, if it's a child support case or if they're trying to get custody or parenting time after paternity has been determined. The court proceeding is initiated by a petition or a complaint. A lot of times there's genetic testing done unless the parties don't dispute that dad is dad. And I found this interesting when I was actually preparing this. I didn't even know this. If paternity or if the DNA test determines that there's a 92% match, not a 99%, but a 92% match, temporary child support could be ordered against the father, which I found interesting. There are time limits on bringing a paternity action. One of the things that we most often say in family law cases is, of course, it depends. There are several different time limits based on what's happening in that situation. For unmarried parents, an action may be brought at any time to declare the existence of a father-child relationship if there is a signed recognition of parentage that causes there to be a presumption. If the rope is signed and filed with the state, it can be brought anytime. If the child is under 18 and the father receives the child into his home and openly holds the child out as a biological parent. If there's different timelines, if there's a rope signed and there's another man presumed, if there's competing recognition of parentage forms signed, or if the rope was signed, but either parent was under the age of 18. When there is no presumed father, no rope signed, the parties aren't married, the action may be brought until 1 year after the child reaches the age of majority. The action may be brought before the child is born, which I also found to be interesting, but the final decision will be stayed until after the birth of the child. After paternity is established, that's when the court can put a child support order in place. That's when custody and parenting time and other issues can be addressed. If paternity is brought through the child support court through the expedited process, then that referee, or the magistrate rather, should not be addressing parenting time and custody issues. That should be bumped up to the district court. But if the parties agree, that can be part of the paternity and child support order. And that's what I had prepared. There are so many different realms to unmarried parents' rights and the cases we take and the procedures that go along with them. But are there questions? I think I saw one in the chat. Oh,
Perfect. No,
Not a
and what we
question.
want to do is I want to make sure that everybody has enough time because we do have a lot of presenters today. So we're going to try to take most of our questions towards the end of the presentation so that everybody has a chance. But there are lots of questions coming in, which is great and fantabulous, and I can't wait to get to everybody. So thank you so much for presenting. The one weird thing I always see is, you know, being on a border city, you have North Dakota rules and you have Minnesota rules, and it feels like sometimes there's so much different. So it's really great to see that, you know, we do have really great versed attorneys that, you know, can let you know exactly what you're dealing with. And hopefully we can go into a little bit more detail later about, you know, how someone can go to apply. So just keep that little seed in the back of your mind and we'll go through that too. Alrighty, so next to the stage, and oh, sorry, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Karen. Um, Next to the stage, we have Chelsea Hammond, and she is from Rainbow Bridge, and she's going to talk to us a little bit. And Chelsea, if you have a slide, feel free to share. Otherwise, the stage is yours.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I apologize for my tardiness. Thank you for this opportunity to be here to speak with you guys. My name is Chelsea Hammond. I am the supervisor here at Rainbow Bridge. I don't have any slides or anything. You get to look at me. So here at Rainbow Bridge, we have a mission of providing a safe environment that brings about physical transfer or of supervised visitation with children without contact between the different parental parties, whoever that may be, whether it be foster parents, grandparents, the biological parents, any of that. I even have one coming up for an exchange. Like, it's literally just an exchange between the foster parents and a grandparent that wants to see the kiddos. So we do have lots of different situations. The majority of the situations that we see are with two parents that are not in contact with one another, or if they are in contact, they're in they have high conflict and they just don't want to do that with the kiddos. So they'll have supervised visitations here at Rainbow Bridge or supervised exchanges, whatever that looks like. It is a service, so we do charge, but we have the option to do sliding fees as well. So like anywhere else, you would just fill out the application and you'd be able to provide us with documentation of either income or low income or zero income, whatever that looks like. And then we're able to adjust those fees accordingly. I was gonna put our information. So Rainbow Bridge, our telephone number is 218-512-1555. So I was gonna put that in there. So if you're ever curious at getting a hold of us, you can give us a call for more questions. We are located in the Family Services Center and we share spaces with the Head Start. So we have 3 different supervised visitation spaces. But then if Head Start's not using the gym or the outside space, then we have the ability to use those as well. So that's really nice. I know, so we are a part of the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center. They had purchased Rainbow Bridge a couple years ago from CAP-LP. And so in the next year, we are hoping to have a new facility with the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center. And then Rainbow Bridge will be able to go with them. So keep us in mind. We're gonna be moving around. So with that, we're looking to, like, the space is wonderful for what we have, but we are really excited to make it more and to be able to provide more services for families and a little more homey, little more homey services. Again, these are great for what we have, but new can be better. So we're just taking that opportunity. I think the thing that I love the most about Rainbow Bridge is that these kiddos probably wouldn't have contact with their parents without us or the other people that they're visiting here. And it really does provide that safe space for kids. And that's my number one focus. We're not on either side, either non-custodial or custodial side or the foster parent side. We're not a part of the court system. We're not a part of CPS. We are our own entity, and our number one focus is the safety of the kiddos and what that looks like. So as long as kids are safe and things, then we are going to do the best we can to keep providing that opportunity. So I think that's really all I have. Hopefully I covered what we have, but I'll answer questions at the end. I'll stay on. So
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Rainbow Bridge, through my lifetime working in human services field, it has been definitely a godsend for many, many parents to be able to bring their children over there and know that they're safe. And we do have a couple of questions too. We're going to save those to the end, but definitely know that there are some things that people do want to know about Rainbow Bridge. So I'm really glad you're able to present today and let us know about that. And then I do believe we have your contact information that we'll put on a slide at the end so that people can contact you. If any of the contact information is wrong from anybody, please let me know right away. So I do apologize. Sometimes I'll take it off of emails, or sometimes people will just have it on their website, but it won't be the exact contact they need for eligibility or for intake. So just let me know. All righty. Well, thank you again. We're going to go ahead and move on to our tag team partners. We have Amber Holstrom and Mari Stockford, and they're going to let you know a little bit more about West Central Community Action and the programs and services they have for parents. Thank you again.
Bear with me for just a second. Perfect. Are we in the right direction? Fabulous. Okay, so we'll just start with who we are. So I am Amber Holmstrom. I'm the Family and Community Services Director for West Central Minnesota Communities Action. So we are located, our facilitation center is in Alexandria, and we primarily cover Douglas, Grant, Pope, Stevens, and Traverse counties.
I'm Mari Stockford, so I'm the coordinator at Plus Kids. And I got into visitation. I interned at Rainbow Bridge actually in 2005 and worked there in multiple capacities. I was a coordinator there, left in 2021. So, and then moved here.
Okay, so like I mentioned, we're West Central, our 5 core counties. Our mission is to empower people while providing services and resources that impact individuals and communities. And our vision is partnering to build resiliency in greater Minnesota. This is just kind of a rundown of all of our programs. So we're obviously a community action agency. So we've got everything from housing programs, energy assistance, Head Start, affordable housing, a wide variety of different things. So what is Plus Kids? So Plus Kids, similar to Rainbow Bridge, we're designed to provide a positive, neutral, and safe environment for exchange or supervised visitation of children. It kind of ranges as well. We've got a lot of, court orders of parents that aren't together, Child Protective Services cases. As mentioned with Rainbow Bridge as well, we do have sometimes where it might be like grandparents that have some visitation rights or different things like that. And our services offered help prevent children from witnessing and or experiencing unhealthy behaviors between family members. So we offer a wide variety of services. So we have supervised parenting time, which is definitely our largest service that we offer. So with that, we've got trained staff that are with parents and the kiddos, typically due to issues of safety, abuse, different types of conflict, and they're allowed to come visit in a safe and neutral setting. And then we also just recently added in-home visitation. So it might not be in our facility, but when we're kind of working towards reunification, we can go into their homes to supervise visits there as well. We do supervised telephone calls. We don't do those very often, but occasionally. The phone calls are monitored. Sometimes it's like maybe one of the parents is incarcerated. We do monitored parenting time. So that might be, we're doing more of that in kind of the in-home setting where we're setting ourselves kind of off a little bit and just kind of watching from a distance, not necessarily directly in. With that, we'll sometimes check in, every 15 minutes, or we're in a different room where we can still kind of hear what's going on. We do Zoom visits. So this is kind of frequent if we maybe have one of the parents that's maybe in like a treatment facility or something like that. We've got them on and then a second call, like individuals on with typically like a foster provider or another parent. And then our staff is on to kind of monitor the Zoom calls. We do safe exchanges. So typically there might be like a court order in place or an order for protection where the parents aren't able to have communication or contact with each other. So then they come to our facility and parent A will arrive 15 minutes prior, and then parent B will come with kiddos, and then we make sure that there's a 10-minute leeway at the end so they don't cross paths during their exchanges, and then staff are able to witness all of those. And then we also do parent education. So we've got a nurturing parenting curriculum that's family centered, trauma informed, and I'll let Mari kind of go into a little bit more of what we do with that piece.
That is often used when we have parents that are in foster care. So they would take an assessment and then it would kind of show the risk areas, and then we would focus on those and kind of tailor the program to those areas. So they usually do at least 25 lessons. So just so that the goal, if they're going to have their children back, that they've learned some skills that way.
So for individuals to access our services, like I mentioned, we've got county child protective services referrals. We get a lot of court ordered referrals. We've got a general inquiry, like maybe it's just, you know, dad hasn't seen kiddos in so many years, and this is just the route they're going to take for reunification. And then we also get some referrals from someplace safe for domestic violence, typically when there's an order for protection or something like that in place. And the little picture is just our facility. So in order for somebody to access our services, they just contact us, they complete their paperwork. We schedule an intake with both parties. In order to set up services, both parties do need to complete that intake. We create their case, and then they're able to go in and request visits or exchanges. That does work a little bit differently when it's like a CPS case. Sometimes we might work with the social workers to get those in there, or they make the visits on behalf of the families. Complete payments, they must be up to date on payments to continue scheduling. We do have fees for service, but we also have a sliding fee scale available. So there's an intake charge of $50. If it's a county case or something like that, there isn't going to be a fee. There is a safe exchange rate of $10 to $20 per exchange per party. And then supervised parenting time ranges from $15 to $45 an hour. With no cost for domestic violence, no contact referrals for the party that has that against another person. We do charge fees for like late fees and no show and cancellations if it's less than 24 hours or within a certain period of time. Some of our safety protocols that we have, we've got no contact, like I mentioned earlier, between the visiting and non-visiting parties. Any bags are left in a secured locker upon arrival. Any packages, gift bags, things like that are gone through just to make sure that nothing inappropriate is getting passed through. We have photographs on file of all clients, including parents, children, visitors, and transporters. We might have somebody different transporting that's not a parent or a foster provider or something like that. All electronic devices are turned off during visits, and that's going to be a little bit different if we're doing like a supervised home visit, since it's more of like a reunification step. We typically don't allow like any pets in, and obviously home visiting is going to be different unless it's a service animal. We have panic buttons and security cameras with video and audio recording in our facility. Just some random data, and this is from last year. We've been extremely busy so far in our new fiscal year. Last year, we served 64 families, including 77 children, 60 transport hours, 41 intakes, 36 home supervised parenting time visits. This year, I can already tell you we've got one family that we've got 5 days a week for 3 hours at a time. So that's going to be up quite a bit. 474 supervised parenting time visits, 74 safe exchanges, 55 Zoom visits, and then 1,125 parenting time hours. And then here's just some different pictures of our facility. So we actually rent this building from the city. It's a small little house, and we pay them $1 a year. So very minimal. We obviously pay the utilities and take care of the yard work and maintenance, but we have a pretty good deal going for us right now to have a really nice, comfy, very home-like setting for people to visit in. We can do 2 visits at a time. So we've got our upper floor that does have the full kitchen that you'll see here. And then individuals that are up there have access to the backyard as well if they've got kiddos that want to go play outside in the few nice months that we get in Minnesota. And then we have a lower level. Typically the older kids like to go down here because we've got like foosball table, a little pool table. We've got like a nice TV down here that they can watch movies, play Wii. We do have some smaller kiddo activities that they can do down here as well. And then we have a little area where they can reheat food or eat down there, but it isn't a full kitchen. Just some of our different funding sources. We use Office of Justice, United Way, DHS. One of our counties, so Douglas County is our main county that we provide services to. And we get like an actual grant from them every year to provide services for their CPS cases. Client payments, the Child Abuse Prevention Council Radiothon, and then county reimbursements. Even though we only serve our 5 core counties, our Douglas, Grant, Pope, Stevens, and Traverse, we do serve individuals from out of those 5 counties. We'll get like an occasional referral from like Todd County, or we maybe have like a mom that lives in North Dakota and a dad in the metro area, and we're kind of a halfway point, so we'll serve them through our facility as well. And then we'll leave that for the end. There's our contact information, which is going to be sent out anyways. And then there's that.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. That's now, was Mari, did you also have presentation, or at this time, did you have some thoughts
No,
or
I was
that you would like to add?
Not really. I can answer any questions that come up, but I think Amber pretty much summed everything up.
No, that's okay. I definitely think this is nice. This is a new organization that I am coming accustomed to. So it was really great to be able to see the different offerings that you had. And I wasn't aware of all the different offerings you had. So that was really, really great. So I appreciate you guys being able to kind of let us know about that. And let us know if, different ways to contact you, which we'll make sure to have all that information at the end too. All right. So right now I'm going to start looking for a couple more of the questions so that we can bring the questions. I wanted to see if Mary was still on our Zoom chat here. Oh, Mary Rhea, are you available?
I am
Maybe we'll
I am
wait a
here,
little bit.
Crystal. Hi.
How are you doing?
It took me a minute to unmute myself. Would you like me to talk about law help right now?
If you want to, if there's a couple of sheets that you want to be able to show our community organizations, I would love if you can share your screen and show about law help.
I absolutely can.
Awesome, thank you.
I would be happy to. Thank you.
And you guys, I just want to introduce, this is Mary Rhea from Legal Services State Support. And
Hi.
she is our guru when it comes to knowing about documentation and pro se type do-it-yourself forms. So I'm going to let her have the floor and kind of let you guys know about different types of documentation that unmarried parents would like to use.
I'm just going to see if I can share my screen and go to law help. If you wouldn't mind telling me if you can see law help.
Yes, we're good to go.
Perfect. Okay, everybody. For those who have not been to lawhelpmn.org before, this is our homepage, and it's just, this is from here, you can get pretty much everywhere on the site. I just want to point out something. If you can see my cursor, if you happen to want to see this site in Spanish, Hmong, or Somali, you can just click along this top horizontal navigation to see the site in another language. And here is our self-help library in Spanish, for example. So I'm going to go back to English really quick. And you're going to want to go, when you're looking for self-help materials for any topic, but today's topic being unmarried parents, you're going to want to go over here to the self-help library. And then if you scroll down, you'll see a number of tiles that have major topics that we have on the site. And so for today, we're going to click on family, and then you'll see additional tiles that pop up related to to family topics such as paternity, which I know our presenter Karen talked about earlier, custody and parenting time, DOPAs, delegation of parental authority. A couple people mentioned third-party custody and grandparent visitation. Child support is on there, additional resources. I'm just going to go ahead and click on custody and parenting time really quick. We have our fact sheets are always listed first on a subtopic. So here we have the two that get a lot of use on our site are the paternity and child custody fact sheet and the parenting time visitation and parenting plans. So if you click on a fact sheet, what you'll get then is these little drop downs where you can open additional things you might be interested. You might just scroll down and think, you know, what type of custody is there? You don't have to take them in order. You can just go right down to what you're interested in. Just click the arrow and then it will open up. And this one gives definitions of what is legal custody, for example, joint physical. Karen talked about this at the beginning of you know, getting your paternity established. And here it is up here. How do I get this established? You know, and getting a recognition of parentage, for example. I think these fact sheets are one of the best resources and most used resource for sure that we know that is on our site, given the data that we find. Over here on the side, in any fact sheet or any resource on Law Help, you can find additional related resources to the topic or subtopic that you're looking at. And one of them here is rights and responsibilities of unmarried parents. So I'm just going to click on that. And this is actually a full booklet for somebody that a fact sheet is going to be a smaller, more like easily digestible piece of a resource or piece of information that really hones in, whereas something like one of our booklets is going to be much more in depth. For example, you'll see on the side here, there's chapters. Here's the recognition of parentage, which we talked about earlier, quick facts about a robe, how to find the form. Here's a link to the DHS form that you can get to from our site. That's what's one of the things that's great about Law Help is being able to go to the different, click to the different forms that we have in both inside and outside of the website. I think I just clicked out of it. So let me go back. The link took us away from Law Help and to DHS. But that's one of the great things about the Law Help site is we have fact sheets listed first, other resources second, which would include the booklet we were just looking at, rights and responsibilities of unmarried parents. This is updated every year. Attorneys look at all of our resources, our fact sheets and our booklets, and they review it for any legal changes. So you know that when you come to the site, everything is being looked at least once a year for changes. So you can be sure that, you know, you're getting good, sound information. Always, though, ask an attorney if you have any specific questions about anything you read, even here on our website. You can print out the forms. So here's a way to print out the entire booklet by clicking here on the PDF, or the recognition of parentage form. You could actually open that and then print that out yourself if you would like. Another place to look for forms is at the bottom of Law Help. In the footer area, you'll see fact sheets for a list of every fact sheet that we have on every single topic. Here's family. If you click, there are every fact sheet that we have for family law topics. And if you go to the bottom, you can also click on forms. And forms is great because this is a great place to just see the forms that we have created. These are forms you can use with court forms, but this is not an exhaustive list. And of course, Minnesota courts.gov is the place to go for all Minnesota court court forms. But here you'll see that we have under family law, we have a child support modification and a delegation of parental authority. I just want to take a couple seconds, if I could, Crystal, to talk about this child support modification.
Please
the
do.
way
Go
our
ahead.
forms are different than the court forms is these are guided forms to help you fill them out before you file them with the court. So this is a great place to go if you want to get some help filling them out, but you see that you can also get to any of the courts. Here's the court's child modification forms page. Ours is just a guided, kind of like a guided tour of filling out the form. If you want to get some help as a pro se person to fill out your forms. So let me just go back real quick. If I could just have one more minute, Crystal, to go back to family. It's really great to take some time to look around at the different tiles and see the different resources that we have. So as I mentioned, fact sheets are first. Then if we have a booklet, it's going to be under other resources. If you scroll down, you'll find that our do-it-yourself forms are here next, and also other helpful websites. So in our case too, there are also Q&As and videos for this particular subtopic. So there's an unmarried parents and paternity video, how to file a motion in family court, which was done by the Minnesota courts. And then a Q&A. Can I move out of state with my child? Here's what a Q&A looks like. It's just a simple question that we have developed, and then just an easy answer. We're trying to do a few more of these Q&As now for people who just have one question they really want to know. And that's one we get a lot from people. Can I move out of state with my child? And of course, the answer is it depends. But that Q&A goes a little bit more into, that's always the answer, right? It depends. So that's why you should always, if you have any specific questions, you look at Law Help, you have some, I'm going to unshare my screen really quick. And I think go back to me. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. Let's see. I don't know if I can stop sharing. Okay, I apologize. If you're looking at Law Help and you have any questions about anything you see, even if you think you have an answer, but everyone has a really specific circumstance, and that's why talking to a family law lawyer is so important about your circumstances. The Law Help website doesn't give legal advice, it's legal information. However, there is a providers and clinics directory on the homepage as well. So if you're trying to find a legal aid lawyer or a clinic in your community or another community resource, the providers and clinics tab is a great thing to look at too, because that's always your best bet. If you want to look at forms or do some filling out of forms yourself, you can clearly do that. But I always give a word of caution. If there's any doubt in your mind, always ask a lawyer if you possibly can. So.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. I always love when you come on because you always remind me of something that I didn't know about. And actually, I just wrote a little note about the fillable forms on Law
Good.
Help, because
Good.
there's a lot of times, even here at the office, where we'll print out a form so that we can, write it in. And I totally forgot about the fillable forms there. So I'm going to have to do some digging to see what type of fillable forms are available that we can continue to use with our attorney. So that is amazing.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. We are going to move into some questions. We have questions coming in from different areas, but if you are in the chat, if you are on the Zoom meeting and you do have some questions, please feel free to put a question in the chat. And if you want to explain it a little bit further, we can go ahead and open up your video so that you can speak if you would like. We'll start off with our first question, and then I'll continue to look into the chat for additional questions. The first question is going to go to Karen from LSNM. And so kind of almost what Mary was talking about, and when we were talking about the fillable forms, when you're talking about the unmarried parenting type of documents that you would need, how do you go about knowing what type of pro se form, do-it-yourself form that you need? Like, if somebody was to come into you, would it be best for them to look on the website first? Would it be best to come to the attorney first? What's your take on the pro se forms or do-it-yourself forms?
So when it comes to paternity, I would typically ask them, is the mother receiving public benefits? Have you been in contact with the county at all? Because you can ask for paternity to be established through the county, and then you don't have to worry about trying to fill out your form yourself. And there aren't establishment of paternity forms on the Minnesota court's website. So that
Oh.
can be challenging. That's why we say, go to the county. Tell them you want to
Okay.
get a blood test done and you want to establish paternity. That's the best start. And
Okay, no, that's
since they are able to apply for a court-appointed attorney through that process, our office doesn't get involved in those cases either, the establishment of paternity aspect.
okay. Now, say if someone say if somebody was like, okay, I have the right form, but I just have some questions on it. Is there a self-help clinic that they're able to use, or how would they go about maybe just coming to an attorney just to ask some specific questions on a court form?
So, okay, before I answer that, I want to go back to what I was just saying. If they
Sure.
want to establish custody and parenting time, if there is assigned row, then they don't have to worry about going through that paternity process. They can use the custody and parenting time forms. And then they just
Okay.
have to submit a certified copy from the state of the row.
Okay.
So there are
Okay.
forms for that on the Minnesota court's website. So I want to clarify that.
Okay.
But yes, absolutely. Self-help clinics, wherever our virtual one, which is going on at the same time as our
Yeah.
conversation today, that's once a month. We have several of them across the counties that we serve. They're all listed on our websites with the times, the locations, frequency, all of that. There's also the statewide self-help phone number that they can call. That's open Monday through Friday. And that contact information is on the Minnesota court's website. And then Crystal, you'll have to clarify, is it on our website as well?
Yeah, we do have it under our resources so that they're able to find, if they go to self-help clinics, they'll be able to find all of our clinics and our virtual one and be able to register for the virtual ones. And the virtual ones are every third Tuesday, same time as the legal table. So if there is an organization out there that is looking to have people have their court forms looked at, we can definitely assist them there. So please make sure to kind of write that information down. And if you have questions on it, feel free to either ask myself or contact the office, and we'll be able to get them into the right direction. Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Karen. The next question we had is for Chelsea. In regards to being at Rainbow Bridge and the volunteer or the people that are monitoring the staff, are they mandated reporters if something were to happen during that stint that the parent was having supervised visitation?
Yes, we are mandated reporters here at Rainbow Bridge for North Dakota and Minnesota. So the facilitators would let us know, myself or my supervisor, and then we would file the report on behalf of them and Rainbow Bridge.
Okay, so if something were to happen at that time, the other parent, would they would be notified, I'm assuming, and then you guys would take care of the rest. So that's a really good safety feature that, I wasn't sure if you had talked about or if I had knew, but mandated reporting is definitely a really nice safety feature for those parents.
We also
Which is
have,
great.
much like they were talking about at the other facility, Plus Kids, we have different rules and things that we sit down and go through with each party. And then they are responsible for letting any guests know of what those rules are. And if there is a violation of that, they will receive a policy violation, which both individuals would be made aware of. Same with if a kiddo gets hurt, like say they pinch their fingers in the door or they fall down and scrape their knee or something like that, both parties would be made aware of any of those injuries, whether big or minor, as far as like pinching your finger, things like that.
And if somebody wanted to be able to use your services, they don't have to have a court order to be able to use your services. It's just available to anybody. Is that correct?
That is correct. So anybody can use it with or without a court order. With a court order, it often will often lays out like how fees are done and things like that. And that's really the only time that we follow court orders, like as far as like we don't force anybody to use our fees. So if there is a court order that says they're required or they're allowed this many hours this time a week, that's not something that we enforce. We just use the court order as a guide. So we're not we're not part of the court system, so we're not required to follow the court order, but because it is a voluntary thing, so we don't force anybody to come and use our services, children included. So if any of the children come to the door and they refuse, we do a child refusal, and there isn't a fee associated with that, but the service does still need to be paid for.
Okay, no, that's really good information to know. Thank you for that. The next question is for Chelsea or Mari. And actually, you know, if Amber wants to help out, which whoever wants to answer this question is fine. But is there video monitoring available? And maybe I probably need one from both locations if there's video monitoring available.
Yes, so we have monitored parenting time, so that would be kind of where we're in the office and then we watch over video. And then can pop in about every 15 minutes and make sure everything's okay. But the video is for staff use only. It's just so we aren't in the room. Like we don't give video to anybody, even like courts are subpoenaed. It's just for Plus Kids use only. So that we can be kind of out of the room, so it can be like a more comfortable setting for the family, depending on what the requirement is.
That's really good because sometimes, you know, I would think as a parent, you know, having somebody kind of watch you with your own child, sometimes that's probably a little bit nerve-wracking. So that sounds like a really, really great option to be able to give because it makes it less stressful, especially for the child too. So that's a good thing. And it might be able to give you some truer feedback from the kids on how they're actually interacting with the parents. So that's really great. And here's another question here. So for the in-home parenting time, do you vet the locations first? Like if somebody's like, oh yeah, I could do it in my house. Do you have somebody go over there first to make sure that it's like safe and it's, you know, a decent place? Or you're like, hey, if the other parent says it's okay to go, then we're just going to be there.
We've actually only been doing in-homes for CPS cases and when they're going
Okay.
for reunification, because I think so many times there would be like a trial home, you know, situation, and then some event would happen and they'd be back in the center. So this way it's kind of a more safe step in transition to make sure home is safe, those kinds of things. So the caseworker has always gone in the home and then we usually go first too, just to check out the environment. And then if it's deemed safe by caseworker and us, then that's when you proceed with the in-homes or off-site. Like I've gone to a school, those kinds of things and do it like in their, well, I don't know what it's called now, but it used to be home ec, those kind of rooms,
Okay.
stuff like that. So we do always
Yeah.
check the site out.
Okay, no, that's really good. And it's probably like a safe feature. When you guys go, do you go in pairs or is it just kind of, you know, one of your staff and goes to that home?
It's been typically me, but typically by ourselves, yes. But we always have like our cell phones, and someone always knows where we are, the location, and when we should get back, those kinds of things. So
Okay. No, that's good information. Because you never know what you're going to step into, so it's always good to be safe. Let's see. The next question we had is for the parenting education. Has anyone ever requested to take the hours that they took from the parenting education to the courts, like to be able to prove that, hey, I am taking parenting time? Have you ever had like a request from a court system to see how long or how far they've come with that?
I haven't. I actually haven't had any that are like family cases. It's always been child protection. So they do, once they have it completed, it is a part of their file with their CPS case. And I think they use it that way to show that they've been, you know, they've completed it and followed through. But I've never had a private pay family actually request to do the education.
Okay. I always think about, you know, our attorneys and when people are bringing, and I'm not an attorney, so I just say that, I just preface that, but when they want to be able to bring facts or information to be able to, you know, prove the character of their client, I wonder if that's something that courts have ever asked you to, you know, provide. So, but that's good to know. It's very good to know. And now this is a question for everybody. So I'd like for everybody to be able to answer if that's okay. What is the, and what is the best way for an organization to refer a client to your services? So is there kind of a sheet, or would you rather a phone call? How would you like for other organizations to refer their clients over?
Okay, I'll start. I would say going to our website is the best way to do that. And you can do the online application right there. And then the caseworker can assist the client, and the caseworkers can call with them too. Usually when an online referral is done, then they'll receive a text or a phone call from one of our intake workers and schedule a time to go through the rest of the process. And so I think doing the online app is the easiest, the most convenient for a lot of people if they have a caseworker assisting them.
Perfect. No, that's great. Thank you for that. Would anybody else like to kind of chime in on best ways for referrals?
I feel like for us, it would be a phone call. So then, they can kind of explain the situation, and then I gather their information, and then I send them an email with a link for them to fill out paperwork. But that way, because a lot of times until you need visitation, you don't know much about it, and it's overwhelming, everything they're going through. So I think a phone call is best for getting started.
Okay. No, that's great.
Echo what Mari said. A phone call is best for us as well. And I think like the most confusing part for people is they'll be like, okay, now I can see my kids, right? And it's like, unfortunately, no, because you and the other party have to fill out the paperwork and do the intake and agree to the services. So often we'll have one person call and be on it, ready to go, but that other
Yeah.
person has not even contacted us and say there's a order for protection in place, and so they can't contact them, or the number's been changed and we have no way to get a hold of them. There are a lot of barriers in there. However, what I like to tell people is now you have this record that you are here, that you've taken these steps. I will be able to provide you an email saying that you did complete the intake, and at this date we haven't completed an intake for the other person. Not particularly to give them fuel for a fire by any means, but just to support them in that they've paid their intake fee, they've done the process and what that looks like. So I think that that's where a lot of confusion or misconception comes in with our supervised visitation is, okay, I did my stuff, I'm ready to go, I want to see my kids. And it's like, and there's more to it than that. So that's just hard, and that would be great to have that knowledge understood by more than just us. So that's why I
Yeah.
think I said that. So let other people understand as well, like maybe what the different hoops that need to be jumped through to utilize our services.
And so here's one final question that I wanted to make sure to ask the organizations that do take fees. So if for some reason, like you were talking about, Chelsea, one party goes, they pay their intake fee, they got everything set up, and the other party doesn't show, what happens to those fees? Are they refunded? Are they kind of just set as a credit, or how do people handle those?
That's a great question. So each service, you're paying for each service. So you won't be charged a fee till after it happens. So you come in for your intake and you get charged the $25. You can pay the $25 at that time. And we have different ways you can pay. You can do it online through the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center website. We can take payments with a credit card. We can do cash or checks. Some people still write checks. So we take those as well. But if say, like we have a visit, then your document, like all the facilitators do their documentation, and then us supervisors review said documentation, and then the fees are applied at that time. So it all takes a little bit of time, but it happens after it. So say there was a child refusal or something like that, or a no-show, like the other party didn't show up, they're going to get charged a fee for not showing up, and they're still going to need to pay for the service that would have happened, but the other person isn't going to need to pay for that no-show, that service. So that's just something that we do on the back end and make sure that things are clear. And we do talk about that during the intake process, and we are available to answer those questions intimately per situation as well.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
We're the same here too at Plus Kids.
Okay, perfect. Well, gosh, there's been a lot of information, and I am so thankful that everybody was able to come on and be able to answer some questions, give us some information about your communities and your community organizations, and some rights that we have as unmarried parents. Mary also has put into the chat a couple of different links and some information for you guys to know about your local legal aid offices. So feel free to capture that information before you leave. I'm also just going to share my screen really quick here because I want to keep everybody on time. So if for some reason you are needing some staff training about different rights, different legal topics, civil legal topics, feel free to let me know. You can contact me at cjamerson@lsnmlaw.org, or you call me on my phone. My QR code is available too. So if you just wanted to kind of book a time to meet and chat with me because maybe you would like to be a presenter on the legal table and tell about your organization, feel free to take down my information. I also want to make sure that you guys had the information from our presenters today, because I think that is so important that you're able to connect with them on that level as well. So we'll make sure to get that. Please let me know if any of that information is incorrect. And there's also lawhelpmn.org if you wanted to look at those court forms at your leisure, and they are fillable, which is great. So that's perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Oops, sorry. We're just gonna unshare that one. That one's my old one. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you have a great rest of day.